This is the Roller Coaster Podcast, and I'm your host, Lucy Q. Life is a wild ride. It has twists and turns. It's scary, exciting, and downright fun. So throw your head back, arms in the air, and come along with me for the ride.
Life is like a roller coaster, baby, baby. I wanna ride.
Episode 200 of the roller coaster will soon be here, and this is your chance to be part of the fun. I'm going to be recording this episode with coaches and listeners just like you. If you want to be part of the fun, head over to nectargrowth.com. Sign up for free and RSVP for the November 18th event. All of the details will be under the events tab. I can't wait to see you there. What are you waiting for? Come join us. You know you're worth it.
Ride.
The world of personal growth and development is growing exponentially. There's no doubt that people are looking to live their best lives and bring in more abundance. But is the personal development world broken? Joining me today is Gunther Mueller, who's creating a shift in the industry. And he's here to share the 5-step magnetic mind method and chat about how you can consciously create the life that you desire. Hi, Gunther.
Hey, Lucy, how's it going today? Pleasure to be here. And
I'm great.
I'm ready for a ride on the roller coaster.
Yeah. So I had a chance to watch some of your videos beforehand, and I know this is going to be a really interesting conversation. But I want to start off by exploring why you feel that the personal development movement is broken.
So I'm going to answer that by saying, look, you are not broken. The listener that's with us right now in this conversation, you are not broken, and there's nothing to fix. And unfortunately, the personal development movement over the last 40, 50 years has continued to just bring you back to fix something to get the results that you want. You continually have to come back to fix yourself, fix some aspect of yourself. I'm here to tell you that you are not broken, and you don't need to fix anything. We need to remember that we are conscious creators, and the reality and the active experience, or the current reality that we are each experiencing right now, is a direct result of the identity that we have created for ourselves over our lifetime. Every trauma, every event, every emotion, every aspect of who we've become, we've made choices to the best of our ability to figure out how to live this thing we call life. And we've made choices to figure out how to survive it. And we do the best that we know how to do with the information that we have in the moment. And the thing is, we find ourselves sometimes in a midlife situation where, as we said before the show, something's got to freaking change. Okay. I'm tired of this thing. I don't want it anymore. I want what I want. I want different results. And how do I get that? And that's what the 5-step magnetic mind method's all about. And I got to this because I've had some traumatic events in my life too, mainly in business. I've had to recreate myself 5-6 times. It was kind of an oscillating pattern. Oscillating feels like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 1 step forward, half step back. You can't just quite get to where you want to go. You've created stuff and then it just kind of slips out of your fingers and you're like, damn it.
Yeah. And I can completely relate to that sort of midlife situation. It's where, and some people, I've spoken to other people on the podcast who are in their mid to late 20s.
Yes.
And they're actually, I didn't even know the term existed. It's a quarter life crisis.
Wow. That's new.
I'm like,
too.
Okay. But I have been noticing, and in fact, even younger than that, my youngest son, he's 19. I've spoken to his friends as well. The same thing. They're like, why are we here? What are we doing?
Yes.
And that whole sort of concept of, not only purpose, but actually being able to go after it. Because something that I've recently been stuck in is I had this really big idea. And at first I was thinking, oh, it's too big of an idea. Why me? And then somebody said to me, well, why not you? So I
Right.
pushed ahead and I did it. But I kept feeling like I was butting up against something and I couldn't quite put my finger on it.
So what you're butting up against is the egoic mind. All right. The egoic conscious mind wants to maintain the status quo. The job of that egoic mind is to keep you safe and to keep you in a place that is known territory. So when you have a big idea and you want to bust out and branch off and do something, that egoic mind is that little voice that pops up in the head and says, look, Lucy, don't you know, we're totally cool right here. It's totally safe. We don't want to, hey, haven't I served you well enough? I've kept you alive all these years. Don't go doing something crazy right now. We're okay just where we are right now. And that is that part of you that keeps you alive. Okay. So, if we transition, we talk about these young people these days. Look, the human condition is very simple. We try to keep away pain and we try to bring some pleasure into our life. Less pain, more pleasure. And sometimes we get stuck in the middle called mediocrity or just plain old some more satisfaction. As long as it's not painful, we're okay. And the reason the personal development movement is broken is because it keeps us in the problem solving reality. This is where all of our life we've been taught to solve problems. And we choose from a place sometimes of but we choose by consensus, we choose by default, we choose by the process of elimination. And that we have not been taught to choose from a place of what we would love to experience. There's really three buckets that most people have quote unquote problems in, and that's money, love, and health. Think of anything that anybody wants a better reality in, it usually falls in three buckets: money, love, and health. And there might be a fourth bucket that's miscellaneous, where something doesn't fit in those three buckets. All right. So if somebody can think of something that doesn't fit in those buckets, it could fit in the miscellaneous bucket. But as soon as we go into the problem solving reality, which is all of our goal setting programs do that. We write down on a piece of paper what we want. We set a date to it. We pick the 5 to 10 things, the steps that it's going to take. And we're already predetermining how to get what it is we say we want. And we leave no grace and no room for the universe to actually provide it in maybe a completely different way that you haven't even thought of. And so in our goal setting program, the date goes by and we get what? We get depressed. We get anxious. We say, maybe we quit. We say, oh, goal setting is not for me. That didn't work for me. I tried that. It doesn't work. And that's where that little voice comes in and says, look, Lucy, you're just better off stay where you're at. Let somebody else do that.
Does that come, like, if you boil it all down, is that little voice speaking from the place of self-doubt and not having that belief in yourself? And that common, I've spoken to so many people that say the same thing, is they all have a feeling of I'm not enough. Is that sort of where that voice is coming from?
Yeah, so the subconscious program, that unconscious mind that we have, has been developed over our lifetime. And it's laced with self-sabotaging ideas. And it's come from trying to survive certain events, traumas, abuses, emotional events, things like that, where we made a decision about how to minimize pain. And so the self-sabotaging identities kind of sound like I'm not good enough. You said, I'm just not enough, or I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not capable. I'm insignificant. I'm not perfect enough to have what I want. I don't belong in that crowd. Some people don't even belong in their own family. In their own mind, they're like, I got born into the wrong family. Well, these are the underlying self-sabotaging thoughts that will keep you from that big vision. You will choose to play small. You'll choose to play safe. You'll allow somebody else to do that big thing because this underlying identity is what is defining who you are unconsciously. And you didn't do anything wrong. It's not your fault. You're not broken. There's nothing to fix. It's just what is. And so the identity needs to be congruent with the current reality. The life that you're experiencing right now, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, is congruent with your identity. And every time you try to step out, every time you try to do something else, this identity is pulling you back. It's snapping you right back into the way it was. And so that's what creates that oscillating. If you're in a place and you're experiencing just being completely stuck, like you can't even step out and create anything that you'd love to have, well, then you're in that stuck zone. So it goes from being stuck to kind of oscillating. And then the place we'd love to be is in this flow state. Flow is where we turn thoughts into things. And you can see, you know, I'm a proponent of becoming a super conscious creator. Well, what does that mean? That means remembering who you are, remembering your power, remembering that you do have the power of choice in the present moment. No matter what has happened in your life, no matter how terrible it's been, we each find ourselves right now in the present moment. And to reclaim our power is to remember that we get to choose what comes next. And I want to suggest to our listeners that the future is not going to be better than the present. And I want you to be okay with that. The future is going to just be a different experience. If we define the future as better, we automatically say that the current reality is less or worse or not good enough. There's a fine mix between just contentment for where we find ourselves, just looking at the current reality and saying, look, what is. It's just what is right now. And I, through my decisions and my choices and all that, have brought me to this current moment reality. My experiences have just been my experience. And we have to understand and know that our thoughts and our emotions are not real. They feel real as hell, but they're not real. We create them, right? And so based on that, and this is not my opinion, this is quantum physical science, okay? And I'm trying to put it in nice little tight nutshell. 50 years of science shows us that this is the reality of the universe, that what we focus on grows. And if we focus on our problems, guess what grows?
Problems.
If we focus on what we don't want, what do we get more of?
What we don't want.
What we don't want. Right? If we're focused on fixing something, we are focused on the problem. And
We'll always be fixing.
We'll always be fixing. And this is what's wrong with the personal development movement. We're always going back and fixing our weaknesses, fixing our flaws, fixing what's not right, fixing some issue that happened in our family history, fixing something, relationship. I got to fix it. I got to fix it. We don't have to fix anything. We have to step out of that problem-solving reality, become a super conscious creator by focusing on what it is we want, putting our energy and our focus on what it is we want, and exercise the imagination muscle to be able to be it now, see it, what we want more than anything else, a true choice, a true end result, a true desire, this thing that we want. And it's not based on our social media friends to approve of what we want. It's not about our parents approving, our friends, our spouse, or anything like that. It's about getting into that space in your own mind, listening to that small voice of desire that needs to grow, right? And really getting clear on what it is you want. Because in the quantum physical field of infinite possibilities, that possibility you desire already exists. And your job is to focus on it and attract it to your present moment, to bring it into being. Just like the Starship Enterprise has a tractor beam and it's able to pull something, boom, into its cargo bay, right? That's the quantum physical reality.
It sounds like, this process is shifting from that masculine energy of task oriented and goals and action, and transitioning into the female energy, which is feeling and thinking and being. And when I refer to masculine and feminine energy, for anybody listening, it doesn't mean male, female. It's just the different energy forces that we deal with in our universe.
Yes. Yes. So it's one of contemplation. It's one of allowing, you got to make a decision. Is the world against you? Is the world for you? Is life happening to you, or is life happening for you? And it's not that you have ultimate control. I'm not going to say bad things will never happen to you, that you're never going to have a challenge. You're never going to have a problem to solve. The problem-solving reality, I'm not talking about, if your house is on fire, you better solve that problem real fast or get the hell out, or you're going to be at risk. That's not the problem I'm worried about. talking about the problem solving reality is, how do I create the life that I love? How do I create the relationship that I love? How do I create the physical body or the health experience that I would love to experience? Bigger picture things, right? And most people that I ask, if I asked you the question right now, what do you want, Lucy? What would you, if you could create anything you wanted right now, and you don't have to answer, but if you could create anything that you wanted, what would you create? Most people that I work with, the initial answer is, I don't know. And so a lot of times I'm a little bit of a smart ass. I say, well, if you don't know, who should I ask? And they scowl at me a little bit. No, it's not right. Don't ask me that. Well, if you don't know, how does superconscious know what to give you? If you're every 15 minutes changing your mind and putting up different signals, and one day it's this and one day it's that, and one day my friends say this, and you're so differentiated in your desire.
Does it have to be like, when you say, well, what do you want? Is that, does it have to be sort of tangible in what we're thinking? Or like for me, when you ask me what I want, my response is always the power to choose.
Yes.
Because for me, the power to choose encapsulates how I'm spending my time, how I'm making money, how my relationships are, what my health is. It's the power to choose how I show up in all those areas of my life, and not to have to continuously punch a clock. So
Yeah.
does that sort of fit into, you know, what you're speaking to?
Yeah, absolutely. So leaving the problem solving reality and taking the creator stance sounds like this. It sounds like, I choose to live my true nature and purpose. Whatever that means, it's a directional choice. It's a choice of orientation. Right now, in the present moment, I choose going forward to live my true nature and purpose. Or it might sound like, I choose to be the predominant creative force in my life. I just choose it. I didn't say I was the only force in my life. I'm the predominant creative force in my life, right? Another one is, my favorite is, I choose to live the life I love. Well, if I can crystallize in my imagination the life that I love, is, what am I doing on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Who am I doing it with? What is it I'm doing? What does it feel like to really live the life that I love? What's the contents? What's the ingredients of a life that I love? What's in it? If you say, I don't know, well, how the hell can you create it if you have no idea what the ingredients are? What does it look like? Another one could be, I choose health and vitality. There are major health challenges on our planet today, from cardiovascular disease to obesity to diabetes to bone loss, you name it, dementia, Alzheimer's, major health challenges. You know, you've heard it said, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. You could have billions of dollars in the bank. You don't have your health, guess what? Life's going to suck. It's just the truth. And most of us don't think about prevention. We don't think about choosing what we want our life's reality to be like when we're 60, 65, 70, 80, 90 years old. So the true choice, I choose to be infinitely healthy and vital. I'm not focused on the problem of keeping cancer away, or keeping heart disease away, or keeping some disease away, like the current issue in the last year and a half, right? Not even going to mention it because I don't
Don't say the C word.
Yeah, don't say the C word, right? But instead of worrying about that or choosing to keep that away from me, I choose the true choice of infinite health and vitality. And that's what I put into my field. And that's what I put into the superconscious field, because it is a possibility that you can experience for yourself, no matter what fear, no matter what uncertainty, no matter what chaos is going on in the world. For yourself, you can create that life that you love. And it consists of being vital, healthy, strong functioning immune system, right?
So is understanding what you want, is that the first part of the magnetic mind method?
Step number one, and probably the most difficult step. Having a true choice, having a true desire, having a true end result in mind. And you know that when you're in a true choice or an end result, if I ask you the question, I say, Lucy, why do you want that thing you just told me you want it? Why do you want it? The answer I'm looking for as your coach is, I want it just because I want it. I want it just because I would love to experience that. I don't have to tell a story about it. I don't have to rationalize it. I don't have to get anybody's permission or approval or any of that nonsense. Okay. I want it just because I want it. And when you stand on that ground, you know it's a true choice when you can answer it that way. I want it just because I would love to have it. That's a coming from a place of choosing what you love.
What's the difference between saying, well, I want it just because, versus trying to justify why I want it?
Because if you're justifying why you want it, you are trying to get some approval from some aspect of your personality, from the protector, the controller, the pleaser, something like that. You have to get some permission from somewhere. Could be parental influence, could be family history influence. There could be all kinds of things working in the subconscious, unconscious program that you're trying to get approval from. But when it's truly a true choice and it's something that you want just because you want it, something you would just love to experience for no other reason than I would just love to experience that. So it could be in the area of health, it could be in abundance, it could be intimacy in a relationship. No matter what it is you want, it's okay to want it. And it's okay to want it for no other reason than you just want to experience that. Like we said, we got enough with what's been, tired of that. Well, then what else would you want? If you could create anything you want, what would you create?
Well, in it, you know what? I don't think I've ever heard it put that way before, because, it's bang on. Why should I have to justify what I want? If I want to sit around in my pajamas all day long, watching Netflix, eating ice cream, that's my choice. I don't have to justify it to you. Now, I'm not going to hit things like health, love, and money if I'm doing that, unless I'm paid to watch Netflix. But yeah, like, sorry, it's just clicking through my brain because it's relating to other things I've been talking about and working through this week. Is who am I trying to justify any of this to?
Yes.
Who am I trying to prove? And this comes back to, who am I trying to prove that I am enough?
Mm-hmm. See, that proving comes from the self-sabotaging identity. And as long as that self-sabotaging identity is alive and well, it will create a reality that is in alignment with that thought. If you carry the self-sabotaging program in that subconscious mind of I'm not good enough, you will create the conditions in which you are not good enough. If you carry I'm not worthy, you will create and manifest the conditions, the people, the places, the circumstances, the opportunities that you are not worthy of, or that you don't belong in, or that you're not perfect enough for, or that you're too insignificant. Keeps you small, right? I'm not capable reflects itself in people that can't get out of school. They just need one more degree. They need one more thing they got to do, one more certificate. I'm not ready yet. I'm not capable yet. I'm not enough yet. I'm not capable enough yet to go do what it is I would love to do. I need this certificate, that qualification, this approval. And it goes on and on and on and on. Because at the end of the day, look, these young people that we're talking about today, they've grown up in a technological, digital, social media type reality. What they're looking for is meaning, fulfillment, the maintenance of hope. You see, when you get to a place where things are hopeless or they're meaningless or nothing you do really fulfills you anymore, that's a dangerous place. And that's why we have a huge teen suicide problem in this country and globally, actually, today in the world, is because hope has been lost. Hope for what? Hope for some meaning.
And that's exactly, I had that exact conversation with my son's friends.
Yes.
One of them, I can't remember if that person is on a suicide watch or something along those lines, but they kept saying, I don't understand what this is all about. I don't want to live the life my parents have, but I don't know anything differently.
Okay, so let's take that thought right there. And I don't care if you're a teenager or you're 50 or you're 60 years old. I know that I don't want that. It's a powerful statement, right? What are you focused on? You're focused on what I don't want. I don't want the life my parents have right now. I don't want the relationship my mom and dad have. I don't want this. I don't want that. Super clear on what you don't want. How much time have you spent getting clear on what it is you do want? How many times have you visualized a relationship that you would just love to experience? How many times have you visualized a life that you would love to live? It's exercising the imagination on the other side, not exercising the imagine on all the terrible things, imagining all the terrible things that could happen to you. How many times have people been anxious about something, maybe for months, and something that never even happened? And all the energy and the anxious energy and the depression that was maybe revolved around that, and the thing never even happened.
But I can't blame, I can't blame anyone for getting stuck like that, because our entire educational system is built on making you do things whether you like them or not. You
Yes.
have to do this. You have to check this box. You have to do this. Nowhere in that entire, I mean, what are you in school? Your basic school is what, 12 years?
Yeah.
Nowhere does anyone ever focus on what do you want?
Right.
And is it no wonder that kids are getting to 14, 15, 16 and going, well, why? What am I doing? Why am I here? You have all these external influences and pressures, and it's for what?
Yep. Yeah. So whoever's listening right now, I really want you to contemplate that. How much time have you even given to the dream or the thought of what could be? What could you create? If you knew, if you believed even for a second that you could create whatever you wanted, what would you actually create? If you don't have an answer for that, you need to get an answer for that. That's the true choice. That's a true end result. That's a true desire. It's something you want just because you want it. It doesn't matter how you're going to get it. Do not go into the problem-solving reality of how, because the possibility exists. And there's a million ways that the universe can deliver the circumstances, the people, the opportunities, the whatever, the how. You don't have to worry about how. You don't have to worry about what. That's not even a worry. It's a desire. It's a dream. It's a what do I want? And getting into that is step one of the magnetic mind method.
Step 1 of 5.
Yeah. And the other ones are easy, right? So we go from step one, which is knowing what it is we want. And again, this helps having a coach to drag this stuff out of you, because sometimes you can't see what you can't see. Sometimes you don't know how to put it into language. It's kind of floating around in there. And sometimes having someone asking the right questions of you, drawing it out of you really, really helps and speeds up the process. But anyway, you need a true choice. The second thing is we need to create some structural tension in the mind, because the mind wants to resolve tension. Definition of structure is just the relationship between 2 points, and the 2 points we create is the way it is now and the way I'd love it to be. The way it is now, the way I'd love it to be. And we're not putting a judgment on the current reality or life the way it is now. We're just observing it and saying, this is the way it is. This is what is right now, and this is the way I'd love it to be. And so you create a structural tension in the mind, and that's it. You're just an observer. This is what I'd love. This is the way it is now. It's what I'd love, the way it is now. Because the future is not going to be better. The future is just going to be different than the way it is today. And as soon as we use the word different and not better, we take all the energy out of the negativity of the current reality. I'm just going to choose something different. I've had enough of the way it's been. And I just want to experiencing something different for no other reason than I just want it. I just want to experience something different, right? If we can hold that in the mind just for a second, we got the structural tension. Now, step 3 is we need to get into the emotion of the end result. What does it feel like to have what you would create? Some people come to me and say, look, I want a 20,000 square foot house. I want a Ferrari. I want this, I want that, right? And this is kind of where the secret and the, law of attraction and stuff like that kind of dropped the ball. I'll touch on that.
I call it secrets and lies.
Yeah, they didn't get it all wrong. They just left out one missing part, which I'll get to in
It's a big
5.
part.
Yeah. So, but we got to get into the emotion, because look, Einstein said there's only 2 things in the universe. There's information and there's energy. The information is the true choice. It's the intention. It's the desire. It's that true end result. That's the information. The energy is the emotion. What's it going to feel like when I really create that? So I want to know what it feels like to drive a Ferrari. I want to know what it feels like to live in a 20,000 square foot house. I want to know what it feels like to have the freedom to travel around the world and do whatever it is you want to do. I want to know what it feels like to be in an incredible, intimate relationship, and start getting in touch with those words that describe what it feels like when you're there, and get into that emotion of the end result. Because here's a truth for you. The mind does not know the difference between imagination and reality. So you can be it now if you can imagine it. And I'm going to point to our Olympic athletes to show you that this works. How many times do you think an Olympic athlete has imagined standing on the gold medal platform, receiving that gold medal, or beating out their fiercest competitor by 1/100th of a second, or seeing the crowd go nuts when they win or something like that? The emotion of the end result. What does it feel like? And Colin McGregor, who's the UFC fighter, when he won his title, he didn't seem to be that emotional about it. And they asked him about it in an interview. He's like, I've been here hundreds of times before. I knew what this would feel like. It's not new to me. I've imagined it so many times, and just here it is today. So whatever you can imagine, and look, everything that's ever been created in the world has been created twice. Once in the imagination, once in the three-dimensional active experience world that we live in. Think of your house, your car, your clothes, your food, everything was first created in the imagination somewhere. And then it got put on paper, it got put on a blueprint, a team of people. You remember Steve Jobs getting up on stage and he said, 1,000 songs in your pocket.
Yep.
He didn't know how that was going to become reality.
That was, whoa.
It was a vision, because before that we had the Walkmans and the Discmans, and you had to carry around your CDs and your cassettes, and young people don't even remember that.
They don't even know what we're talking about. What is the strange apparatus you refer to?
Yeah, he said 1,000 songs in your pocket. It was a vision. What did he do then? He assembled a whole team. He didn't know how it was going to come to be. He just had that vision and he went for it. This is what we're going to create. This is what I want. I want people to have the experience of having 1,000 songs in their pocket. And he spoke it to the world. And then it showed up, right? So that's the third step, the energy, the emotion of that end result. The fourth step is we do what's called a magnetic mind recode. See, the personal development movement is kind of broken because we've tried to change the subconscious program from the conscious mind. This is positive mental attitude. This is affirmations. This is through willpower, through motivation. We try to change the subconscious program, that identity that's running the show, through the conscious mind. In the magnetic mind method, we go to the superconscious mind. And what I mean by superconscious is that some people call it your soul, your higher self. All the religions of the world have a different name for it, spirit, whatever it is. I'm going to call it superconscious. Superconscious has been there with you all of your life, knows every emotion you've ever had, every situation you've ever been in. There's nothing that superconscious doesn't know. It was there. It does not sleep. It's awake all the time, knows everything that's ever happened to you. So we go to superconscious, and you do that through a coach also, is like, tap into the field and speak to your superconscious, because that's who you truly are. You're not really Lucy. You are your superconscious. Okay. And we speak to that superconscious side and we say, hey, do you see what we'd love to experience? Do you see the way it is now? And we call up the resistance that's in the way, this thing that seems to be blocking you from having what it is you want, this thing that's in the way. We say, superconscious, do you see that resistance? Can you treat it? Can you do something about it? We don't need to know the details. We don't need to solve the problem. We don't need to sit on the psychiatrist's couch for 10 years and figure out what mommy and daddy did wrong, or where we were, violated, or anything like that. We don't need to figure it out. Superconscious already knows. And we say, superconscious, can you do a massive change history in this superconscious, in this subconscious program? I want you to think about it like Windows 10 running your computer. Every once in a while, they download an update, you install it, you restart, and supposedly the machine runs better, right? And you have no idea how Windows 10 works. You just do some productive work on your computer and you trust it. So this is the same thing. the subconscious, the unconscious is running the show. Your heartbeat, your lungs, your brain function, cellular function, everything, it's running the whole show. And it's that voice that you hear. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not capable. And there's a bunch of becauses and stories and all this kind of stuff that we don't need to know about why that was created. It was necessary at the moment to survive, to keep going forward, right? And so we come into superconscious, we do a 15-minute recode. We ask superconscious to do a massive change history on that program. Superconscious always says yes.
Is that recoding? Is that like meditation?
No, you're totally conscious. As a coach, I just speak to your superconscious and teach you over time how to talk to your own superconscious so that you can learn how to do it. That's why behind me or there it says become a superconscious creator. You can learn how to do this. So you learn how to run yourself through the 5 steps. All right. So 4th step recode. The 5th step is take the next obvious action. And this is where the secret, the law of attraction kind of dropped the ball, because you will not sit in your living room on your couch and manifest a Ferrari in your garage. Not going to happen.
No. And Jim Carrey, he said it beautifully when he said, you can't just think of this stuff and then go eat a sandwich.
Right.
You actually have to do something. And that was always, I didn't realize it at the time when I first saw The Secret, but that was always the frustration, was because it was like, well, I just think of it and then what? Like there's got to be, sure, you don't get caught up on the how, but there has to be some sort of form of inspired action.
So the 5th step is what I call taking the next obvious action. It may not even be inspired. It's just obvious. Like if you want to get better health and you do a recode and that's the true choice, I choose health and vitality. And at the end, I ask you to get in touch with your superconscious, say, what's the next obvious action that you should take right now? Could be drinking more water in a day to get hydrated. Could be eating less fast food and eating healthier food. It could be picking up the phone and calling your physician and make an appointment because you haven't seen a doctor in 10 years, right? It could be little micro steps, simple, obvious things that you should do. And they're what? They're in alignment with the true choice. They're congruent with the true choice. They're moving you in the direction of the true choice. And there's nothing more powerful to the superconscious field for you to take action in that direction, because it lets the superconscious know that you're serious about this choice. When you take action and you every day get into the 5 steps, you focus on the true choice. You're not focusing on a problem. You're focusing on what you want. You get into the emotion, the end result. You see the way it is now and the way I want it to be. No negative judgment on the way it is now. This is what I want. Get into the emotion, the end result. Do some recodes to scrape away the resistance that naturally comes up to try to hold you back from what it is you desire, from what you want. Scrape off the resistance and then say, okay, what's my next obvious action step? What do I do right now? And you write that down, and it may not make any sense. It may not be rational. You may not be able to tell a story about it, whatever, but you just write it down. You trust that your superconscious knows what's the next step for you.
In trusting that intuition that we all have.
Yes.
And actually listening to it.
Yeah. Instead of crowding out that voice with all kinds of noise and other people's opinions and everybody, trying to tell you what to do. My suggestion is you start listening to yourself and what your higher self, your superconscious self has for you.
This has been such an interesting conversation. And for me personally, it's almost like the icing on the cake for some things that I've been working through personally myself. And this is where, as you spoke to earlier, don't worry about the how. And this week I've been working through something and I didn't focus on the how. I just trusted that it was all going to come in. Yeah. And it just feels like our conversation today was just that icing that my cake needed. So, thank you so much. And I know that there are going to be people out there listening that are going to want to get in touch with you and find out more about your system. Where's the best place for people to connect with you?
Best place is dreamlifemasters.com. Dreamlifemasters with an S.com. And you go there. I got some free resources there, like a morning ritual. Get started by maybe changing some of the habits in your life. So you can download this morning ritual, and you don't have to do everything that's in the ritual. You pick the things that resonate with you and get started. I don't care if you do something for 5 minutes a day, because 5 minutes turns into 10, turns into 15, turns into 20. And you fit things into the natural flow of your life. So everybody, where this conversation resonated, go there and at least get that tool for yourself. There's also a place to join me in a webinar where I go deeper into the science, the quantum physical reality and the science, for those skeptical geek type people that are in the audience today, and they need just to know more and they don't just trust it. So they need to just know more. It's fine. I provide more information. And as you saw, there got some videos at Dream Life Masters. They're about 20 minutes long each, and really lays out how this all works. But once you learn to become super conscious, you simply recode the resistance that's in the way of having that which you desire, having that which you want. You take the obvious action that puts you in alignment with what it is you want. And you get to this place where you start to turn thoughts into things, and life just becomes easier. So in creating the life that you love, I'm talking about more money, more abundance, more love, more intimacy, better relationships. And I'm talking about better health, infinite vitality, health. Those are the choices that we, as humans, we all seem to want. But as you said, they don't teach this stuff in school, right? How do you get it? They don't teach it. And that's what I'd love to do for your listeners today, is begin the education process, the teaching process on how to manifest the life that they love, create the life that they love by getting in touch with this super conscious creator self that everyone already is.
If you're listening and you're looking at getting in touch with Gunther, make sure you check out the show notes. I'm going to have all of the links in there. And Gunther, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, my pleasure, Lucy. If you ever want to do it again and get deeper into the subject, be happy to do that for you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Roller Coaster Podcast. Want to chat or share your ideas about today's show? Pop me an email at hello@therollercoasterpodcast.com. Don't forget to connect with me on Facebook and Instagram at The Roller Coaster Podcast. Our theme song, Roller Coaster, was performed by The Lucky Setback. Audio editing by the one and only Jeff Quigley of Quigley Creator.
Life is like